to our blind read-through of Saya no Uta, the Song of Saya. The last time we were here, our boy Koji was able to successfully escape the bottom of the well from an icy demise, and he was rescued by the hottest doctor in the world, and she's got a shotgun! She's literally the coolest. There's again, you know that character's awesome the moment she first appears on screen. There's just no doubting it. She's awesome. I can't wait for her to do some real fucked up shit. But we're getting ahead of ourselves because we also happen to find out that the person we've been looking for this whole time, Dr. Ogai, is dead. We found him under a secret passage through the well, and it's crazy. So now we're hopefully on the verge of some things finally starting to come unraveled, things starting to kind of point us in a direction as to what is really going on here. So with no further delay, let's say hi to this lovely face again. Oh yeah, all right. So yeah, he collapsed to the floor, unable to hang his slipping consciousness, and the last thing he sees are Ogai Masahiko's gaping eye sockets staring at him. So yeah, Koji passed out, like he's done, and it's understandable. He's spent a good long time in a very cold well, and now he's thrown in the middle of all this shit. When he wakes, Koji finds himself lying on something dry and soft. A bed is a bed, he thinks to himself, even one that smells of mold and dust, and especially after sleeping in a cold mud all night. There are no lights hanging from the ceiling, but the soft, warm light of a lamp fills the room. Simple furnishings, non-existent decor. Koji realizes that he's in Ogai's cabin in the bedroom that he searched before Fuminori pushed him into the well. Yo, you want to share some sandwich with me over here? I could probably go for some sandwich. Ryoko is sitting in a chair against the wall, her expression blank as she studies the pile of documents on the table in front of her. She must have brought them up from Ogai's underground lab. She turns a page, then takes a bite from the sandwich in her free hand. Yo, nice! Appreciate it. Without looking up from the files, she gestures towards the convenience store bag sitting on the nightstand. She's just that badass and she carried your ass up here? Koji can't imagine that a woman! Women lift things? No way! Nah, too dainty. Women can't have shotguns either, or rescue you from wells. You cunt. Oh, I hate Koji. Koji can't imagine that a woman, even a woman like Ryoko, could have climbed out of the well with him on her back. Fucking Urabuchi is literally the worst. Good God. Like, yes, we know you hate women. There was a sealed door behind one of the bookshelves down there, Ryoko mutters, taking care not to let the explanation interfere with her reading or eating. When I finally got it open, it led to a boiler room underneath the cabin. The other side was hidden with a thin layer of mortar. I figure that's how he got most of his supplies down here. Once he had everything he needed, he could seal it up and use the well instead. Pretty thorough. That's pretty handy, actually, yeah. Alright, what is it? Break it down for us. What are we dealing with? Having finished her sandwich, Ryoko picks up some unsorted papers with her free hand and waves them in the air. 誰もかも学会で演壇に上ってリサイタルをやりたがるわけじゃないのさ。自分一人が秘密に通じて、最後には自分のしたいもろとも秘密の墓穴にしまい込んで満足するような、そういう。Koji still hasn't the slightest idea what Ogai's secret might have been. From what Ryoko said in that tunnel, however, he can guess that Fuminori is somehow involved.
文則はどうなっちまったんですか?
What happened to Fuminori? Koji asks desperately, no longer caring who he gets answers from.
地下の死体と文則と一体どういう関係があるんです？
What does he have to do with
先生
that
は一体
body
何
down
を追いかけ
there?
てるんです？
Just what is it you're after?
今それを調べてるところだよ。
That's what I'm trying to find out, Ryoko replies coldly, as though Koji's concerns are none of hers.
私が咲坂君から聞いたところによると、彼は王外の親族から調査を頼まれている。
Sakisaka told me he was acting on behalf of one of Ogai's relatives.
それは俺も聞いてます。
そうか、一貫してるんだな。
Ryoko pulls several sheets of loose leaf paper from a different
だが
file.
王外に血縁者はいない。私は咲坂君が嘘をついているものとばかり思っていた。だが、もう一つの可能性を考えるべきだった。彼は王外の親族を名乗る何者かにそそのかされていたのかもしれない。
Like Saya maybe found him first, and then like she crept in, did her thing with the brain meats, made him crazy, and then showed up and be like, "Oh hey, but I'm your daughter, by the way," or something like that. That's kind of winging it here. Ryoko pauses, then looks sidelong at Koji.
サヤという名前に。
Hello, you've got the name.
さや？いえ、誰なんですか？
さて誰なのか何なのか読めば読むほどわからなくなっていく。
She sighs bitterly, then returns her attention to the papers in her hand.
間違いなく言えるのは、そいつが王外の研究の核にあるものらしいということだけだ。もし咲坂君がこのサヤと呼ばれるものとすでに深く関わっているのなら、彼はもう引き返せないところまで踏み込んでいるということになる。
Oh, there's no doubt about that. The icy certainty in Ryoko's voice sends chill down Koji's spine.
だとしたら、どうするつもりなんです、文則を。
He has to ask, even though he already knows the answer.
さっきも言ったよね。1年前の私も手元に銃を持ってればってどれだけ後悔したか知れないんだ。
It's like I said, Ryoko replies, smirking at the tension on Koji's face. I have no idea how many times I've wished I'd killed Ogai when I had the chance.
もう二度と後悔するつもりはない。
I won't make the same mistake twice.
俺が警察に行けば済むことです。
Why would you do that? Dude! Like, you have no reason to be, like, defending him at this point. Like, the dude literally shoved you in a well. For all you know, he killed your girlfriend, and you know that Yo is in trouble. My guy! Like, Koji, you are a fucking idiot. Ryoko doesn't respond, as though she didn't even hear what Koji just said. Yeah, because she's just like, look, I'm the one with the shotgun, bitch. What do you think is going to happen if you try to go to the police about this? Like, God, learn your place in the world, Koji.
文則がやったことは殺人未遂です。俺が訴えれば、あ
I
いつは犯
think
罪者として。
we're way beyond that.
目撃者は物証は
Yeah.
咲坂君が君を殺す動機は
Ryoko cuts him off harshly. You have witnesses? Proof? What was Sakisaka's motive?
なあ、殿君。君は警察の仕事についてひどく勘違い。
Yeah! You are a gigantic idiot for thinking the police are in any way competent at anything.
彼らの職分は正義を貫くことでも、市民の安全を守ることでもない。
Screenshot.
そんな。
不条理な物事について、きちんと条理に沿った体裁を整える。これが警察っていう
And killing minorities. And killing minorities. That's the like police got that shit nailed fucking down, dude.
彼らの思考はいつだってより理解しやすい方、より説明しやすい方に傾いていく。
Oh no, they'll believe the illogical ones too. Like they're fucking dumb, dude.
それこそ水が低い方へ低い方へと流れていくように。事実がどうあろうと彼らには興味ない。
That's true.
彼らが感知するところではないんだよ。小説より奇なる事実なんてものは。
She's spitting a lot of facts about police here, even though some of it is just kind of like, no, there's nothing of a reasonable explanations for anything. Like, they're not there for that.
そこまで決めつけることないでしょう。話してみなければ分かりませんよ。
Why are you arguing with the experienced adult in this case? Like, I think, like, I don't know. She just strikes me as an adult that if I were, you know, in a bad situation with her, I would think, oh, yeah, this girl's got it figured out. I think I'm gonna just, like, I'm gonna follow her lead on this.
そう、わからない。そこが問題だ。
Exactly, Ryoko states as she pulls another sandwich out of the bag. That's the problem. She hasn't spared Koji a second glance since looking at him earlier. Even while talking, her attention was always focused on the papers in front of her.
君が錯乱した親友の手で井戸に落とされたと主張する。すると、警察はあと2つばかり真実の候補を用意するだろう。君が狂言自殺で親友を陥れようとしてるとか、あるいはもっとシンプルに、事故で井戸に落ちた君が錯乱して親友を疑ってるとか。この3案のどれかが捜査っていうレースで勝ちを競うわけだ。勝ち馬は誰にもわからない。こんな博打に君は寝台潰すまでかける気かい？
She's got you there. She's got you there, friend. Koji has no response. Can he really explain with cold, clear logic what drove Fuminori to do what he did? How can he convince anyone else when he doesn't even understand it himself?
そして一番の問題は
And here's the biggest problem, Ryoko says calmly, cutting into Koji's thoughts.
君がそういうランチキ騒ぎに手こずっている隙に
Yep.
先坂文則を追い詰めるチャンスを逃すことだよ。
While you're raising hell with the police, we'll lose our chance to corner
身辺で
Sakisaka.
火の手が上がれば、
Yep.
彼は手遅れになる前にさっさと姿をくらますだろう。
Yep.
そうやってまた万事が振り出しに戻る。
Like, this is something so far beyond the authorities' grasp, and we are talking to someone who it sounds like, oh, okay, this bitch knows what's going on. Let's just go with what she's doing. Like, let it go, Koji. She pauses to take a bite of her sandwich before finishing.
私が鴎外を取り逃がしたように。
Yep. This is personal. A heavy silence falls upon them, with only the soft rustle of pages turning in Ryoko's hands to mark the passage of
教
time.
えてくださいよ先生。
Please tell me, Doctor, Koji says, his hushed voice breaking through the
あ
quiet.
なたが警察を差し置いてまで処刑しようなんて思うほど、そこまで許しがたいことって何なんです？鴎外って人はあの地下室で何をやってたんですか？
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's fucking bad. I'm pretty sure it is if it's wrought fucking something like Saya onto this world. Once again, Ryoko ignores Koji's question. This time, however, Koji doesn't back down. His silent glare demands her attention as she pores through the documents before her. After some time, Ryoko rearranges the papers in her hands and sets them aside as though having to come to as if having come to some conclusion. She then turns her chair to face Koji for the first time since he awoke.
なあ、殿君。
Listen, Tono, her hard stare belies the calmness of her
君は
voice.
ここいら辺で降りた方がいい。ナスカ日光の温泉でゆっくり羽を伸ばして、何もかも忘れる気になってから東京に戻ってきなさい。
忘れろと。
Koji feels anger rise within
近
him.
江は俺の恋人でした。文則は俺の親友でした。それを忘れろと。
そうだ、忘れろ。これは提案じゃない。警告だ。今まではどうであれ。これからの君の人生に、その二人は一切関わりを持たないだろう。断言してもいい。
Yeah, like Koji, you have proved so wildly ineffective throughout this whole ordeal. I think you probably need to take the woman's advice. You may want to see this through, but you're gonna need to level up a bit, my friend.
じゃあ筑波は
Then what about Tsukuba? Koji shouts, unable to control
彼
himself.
女はどうなる？あの子は電話口で俺に助けを求めてた。どこかでひどい目に遭わされてたんだ。
She begged me for help on the phone. Something terrible was happening to her.
そりゃ何十時間前の話かね。
Yeah, like Dude, this is a lost cause in this
私が君
instance.
を助けてから何時間経ったと思う？そうでなければ井戸の中の君があと何時間持ったと思う？遅すぎるよ。彼女はとっくに死んでるだろう。誰もが君ほど幸運だなんて思わない方がいい。
She shakes her head, then declares coldly, "It's too late. She's already dead. Don't expect everyone to be as lucky as you."
あんたは
You heartless. Koji growls, unable to suppress his
あの
anger.
井戸で俺の死体を見つけてもあんた何とも思わなかったんだろうな。
No, she wouldn't have, dude, because she is on a mission. She is laser focused. You just kind of happen to be there conveniently and in a manner that she could have, like, easily saved you. If anything would have been much harder than that, or you would have been literally on the brink of death, I have no doubt she would have just left you to rot.
そりゃ覚悟してたからね。まさか生きてるとは思わなかったよ。
I was prepared for that, of course, Ryoko says with a shrug, unfazed by Koji's ire. I hardly expected to find you alive. It is futile to argue with this woman, Koji realizes. Her values are fundamentally different from his own. Nothing he can say will ever move her. Koji gets out of bed and stands on shaky legs.
どのくらい俺は寝てたんです。
ざっと半日ばかり。消耗した後速やかに休息が取れるってのは羨ましいね。若いうちだけだよ。そういう。
Koji looks at his watch and sees that it's 4 in the morning, which means that it is already early evening when Ryoko rescued him. He can't believe that he survived in that well for almost 2 days. Now that the gaps in his memory have been filled with the sense of time, and his sense of time has returned, he realizes that it's already Sunday morning. Ryoko's right. A lot of time has passed since he spoke to Yo on the phone. Koji grabs a sports drink and 2 jelly snacks from the bag of food that Ryoko brought. He then heads for the door. His legs are still a little unsteady, but he can compensate for that with sheer
念の
willpower.
ため聞かせてもらうが、どこに行くつもりだい？
東京へ。
Oh, you're just leaving? You're gonna do this on your own? You are not a smart man, Koji.
着くばようはまだ間に合うかもしれない。彼女を助けに行きます。
Oh, jeez.
人の話を聞かないやつだね、君は。
聞く耳持たないのはお互い様でしょう。
Koji's expecting Ryoko to watch him go with that cold, mocking smile of hers. Instead, however, she sighs heavily and rests her jaw on her hands.
もう少し待つ気はないか。こいつのどこかに。鴎外が鞘と名付けたものが何だったのか、答えが隠されてるはずだ。
Yeah,
そい
like...
つを突き止めて、ちゃんと対策を講じてから動くべきだと私は思う。
Yeah, come on, Koji. If you're gonna be stupid, at least have a plan for your stupidity first. And then, maybe contingencies. But we definitely need to find out what Saya is, what we're dealing with, what has control over Fuminori.
筑波が死んでると決めてかかってるあんたなら当然そう思うでしょうね。
In truth, Koji is extremely uneasy about going it alone. At the same time, however, he knows that he mustn't depend on Ryoko. She's made it clear that she doesn't care about saving lives. Teaming up with her will only make it more difficult to salvage something, anything, out of this nightmare.
殿くん。
Tono, Ryoko calls just before Koji steps out the door.
仮にも一度は殺されかかってるんだ。もう二度と殺されるな。
You almost got killed once already. Don't let it happen again. She picks up something from the table and casually tosses it to Koji. When Koji catches it, he feels its cold. He feels its solid weight fill his hands. Yep, the revolver. Koji stares at the menacing shape of cold metal. It's a revolver, the same one that was clenched in Ogai's skeletal
あ
fist.
と4発入ってる。安全装置はない。引き金を引くだけで弾が出る。どこでどう使うかは君の判断に任せるよ。
That's ominous. That's ominous. If Koji were his usual cautious self, he would reject this dangerous offering. Surely no good can come from the barrel of a gun. And yet, without knowing it, Koji has already set foot into Ryoko's world. Choosing instinct over reason, he accepts a small but deadly weapon and slides it into his pocket. There is no question that Koji intends to save Yo and bring Fuminori to answer for his crimes. In the back of his mind, however, he can hear the footsteps of ruin approaching. I can hear the footsteps of ruin approaching! I'm just watching you do all this dumb shit and thinking that you're gonna go in and Johnny Rambo this by yourself. Being hot-headed never got anybody anywhere, or at least out of a situation like this alive. When he steps out of the cabin's front door, Koji shivers as the wind tears into his skin. To his surprise, the outside air is even colder than the mud at the bottom of the well. Perhaps the cramped space mitigated the cold somewhat. If he had been exposed to this chill all night long, he would surely have frozen to death. Koji finds 2 cars parked in the yard. The Mini next to his Accord must be Ryoko's. He then sits behind the wheel of his car. He gets some relief from the feeling that he's taken the first step, however small, back into his world. He sips the sports drink, wetting his parched throat, and then washes down some jelly. His stomach rebels at the sudden influx of food after 36 hours on empty, but he manages to force down the urge to vomit. Koji needs this energy. No matter how hard it is, he must regain enough stamina to overcome the challenges ahead. After forcing down as much food as he can handle, Koji leans back in his seat and takes a short break. When he begins to feel like himself again, he reaches into the back seat and pulls a spare cell phone out of his bag. He never expected that carrying 2 phones would be such a stroke of luck. He then calls up Fuminori's number and prepares to hit send. What? Koji is overcome with a flood of emotion. Is this that moment in Rambo where he grabs the mic? I'm coming for you. Rage, despair, sorrow, pity. He's unable to decide what to feel towards his friend. However, there's no time to dwell on the past. Every second lost diminishes the chance of saving Omi and Yo. Koji refuses to consider that it may already be too late. Also, why are you going to blow the element of surprise by, sending this guy anything? Again, Koji feels like a big dipshit to me. He steels himself and presses the button, then holds the phone to his ear as it rings. The shrill sound seems to go on longer than it ever has in his life. Right now, Fuminori's phone must be displaying the name of the caller. Koji wonders what his reaction will be when he sees it. Again, the element of... Just throwing away the element of surprise like this feels so stupid. I don't know why you would do that. You are so unbelievably stupid, Koji. The call goes through. In the silence on the other end of the phone, Koji senses surprise, apprehension, and dark fury. Feeling slightly gratified, Koji delivers the first jab.
Yo, そんなに意外か、死人からの電話は。驚いたね。どうやって？
As Koji is about to answer, an idea suddenly comes to him.
井戸の底に仕掛けがあったのさ。地下の隠し部屋に行くためのな。
There was a secret passage in the well, Koji says, a plan forming rapidly in his mind. It led to a hidden underground lab. He pauses to let that sink in, then, with satisfaction filling his voice, he says,
会えたぜ。大貝正彦と。
Oh, well, that's a pretty big punch there. That's a pretty big blow, I'm pretty sure. Fuminori's gasp tells Koji that the advantage is his. Keeping his voice bold, he decides to further exaggerate the truth.
何もかも分かった。サヤってやつのことも全部。お前たちは終わりだよ、文則。
You are putting a lot of pieces on the board here, sir. I know that, this is a big plan to try and bluff your way into, into something, but you are putting a lot of pieces on the board here, and I have no idea what your game plan is here.
何もかもばらしてやる。ところ構わずにぶちまけてやる。証拠はちゃんと揃ってるからな。貴様は
It's obvious from Fuminori's tone that the rage has overwhelmed his reason. Koji's bluff is working perfectly. His victory is tainted, however, as Fuminori's response to the name Saya brings a cry of anguish from the corner of his heart that still wants to believe his friend can be saved.
咲坂君がこのサヤと呼ばれるものとすでに深く関わっているのなら。
Ryoko's words play back in his head, sounding even colder than before.
彼はもう引き返せないところまで踏み込んでいる。
He mustn't allow emotion to sway him.
海のり、近江と筑波はどこだ？
Koji suddenly switches topics, trying to keep Fuminori off balance. It all comes down to this.
俺にだって情けはある。お前の出方次第では考えんでもない。お前がこれ以上誰も傷つけないというのなら、俺にしたことは忘れてやる。この別荘で見つけたことも。俺だってこれ以上お前と鞘に関わり合いを持つのは願い下げなんだ。近江たちさえ無事に戻ればいい。近
江とようね。
Fuminori's voice trails off. He's obviously trying to decide how far Koji can be trusted and whether there's room for negotiation. Fuminori has been called out, and now it's time for him to show his hand.
近江のことは本当に知らない。彼女は僕の家まで来ていない。でもよ。
Fuminori pauses and gives a knowing chuckle that sends chills up Koji's spine.
どうだかな。彼女自身が戻りたがるかどうか。
Oh, jeez.
お前のところにいるんだな。
Koji is relieved to learn of Yo's location and that she is, at least, still alive. At the same time, however, he remembers that horrifying phone call. It is clear now that Fuminori played some part in Yo's suffering. Has she already fallen into his trap back then? What has happened to her? How is she being treated?
彼女はね、念願かなってようやく僕の持ち物になったんだよ。お前と近江のお膳立てもようやく実を結んだわけだ。
Oh, that's real fucked up, my guy. Oh, that's fucked up. Koji feels despair settle over his soul. How much lower will this man go? Must Fuminori seek out and destroy every memory of the friendship they once
筑
shared?
波を解放しろ。彼女の安全を確認したら、お前らについての証拠を破棄してやる。
信用できるか。そっちが責任。
お前に選択の余地を与えるつもりはないよ、海野。
Koji instinctively realizes that it's dangerous to push this bluff any further.
後でまた連絡する。それまでによく考えておけ。
He hangs up without waiting for a response. Fuminori doesn't know that Koji is still at the cabin in Tochigi. Right now, he's probably worrying about whether Koji will show up in 1 hour or 1 minute. Koji hopes that he'll be able to take advantage of Fuminori's confusion. 3 hours. That's how long it'll take to race all the way back to Tokyo. Koji is afraid that his body won't carry him through such a long drive. His mind is clear, but his limbs still feel half asleep, like they're weighed down with lead. Although he knows that he has to stay resolute, Koji still longs for the peace he had just a few days ago, when life or death struggles were the furthest thing from his mind. Back then, he could never have imagined himself fighting to rescue a friend from the clutches of a madman. With each passing moment, he feels himself becoming less like the person he was. When all this is over, will he be able to return to his old life? Or will this change continue until he has consumed him utterly? Time is against him. Every second that passes is wasted. Even so, he decides to allow himself just 5 minutes of weakness. For exactly 5 minutes, he leans against the steering wheel and cries. And when his tears have run dry and his heart is calm, Koji starts up his Accord and drives away. And that is where we will pick up next time. Aside the fact that I think Koji's kind of a dip, I still don't think that he is in any way prepared for what he is stepping into. We're starting to kind of get some more propulsion from the story, and like there's obviously like confrontation is a coming. I still don't know how the doctor is gonna play a role in that. Like her role still seems like I am pretty sure she is going to be involved in any kind of confrontation that we are going to be having with Fuminori and Koji, but like it's all on the table now. We know what everybody wants to do. We still aren't 100% on what Saya is. We know that Dr. Ogai was involved in some way, and we know that like he may have been fooled into thinking she was his daughter or something, but yeah, there's a lot still on the table, and I feel like we are about ready to cruise control toward a climax. So thanks for coming by, and you have a nice rest of your whatever it is, wherever you are, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye!